Right. Oh, you know what? We live?
We are live.
We live. Okay. Good morning, Kimberly. How are you doing? Joe, what'd you do over the weekend?
I filmed the Casey Varsity Combine at Parkway West.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yep. For the Football 360 show.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Good. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, what guys are on the 360 show again?
That's JP Rock and Matt Bierman.
Okay.
They're both college recruitment.
Yeah, Matt Bierman, his guys at his facility are going to be training two of my boys over the summer.
Nice.
Yeah.
At Elite?
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, so I'm excited for them.
What are they going to be training for?
Well, as you know, they're not the biggest of guys. They're tall and lanky. So I'm trying to put some meat on their bones. But you can't just, because they're athletes, as you know,
Yeah.
my dad. And so I'm going to have them train. Hey, Joe, would you mind turning my volume down a little bit? Thanks. I'm going to have them train them so that lacrosse and soccer, but also try to get some muscle on them. So,
Get some bulk on.
yeah, so that's one thing I can't do. I can teach them how to lift weights and eat, but not, it needs to be specialized because I don't want them to not be able to run because not that their legs or arms are going to get too big.
Yeah.
Can you even imagine them?
Well,
But
trying to put weight on them, but maintain flexibility is
Exactly.
extremely important.
exactly.
Especially for a soccer player.
Yeah.
Especially even for Kellen.
Yeah.
For playing goalie.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to have professionals do it. Oh, yeah. Greg, you like Vic's new look today with the hat and the glasses? Mm-hmm.
Did I say
Hey, Michelle, how are you? Good morning. Hi, Addie. How are you, Addie? I haven't seen you or heard from you. I've been on just kind of coming in and guest showing for the last, couple weeks here and there. So it's good to be here. Hey, I think I saw Ben. Good morning, Ben.
It says here my mic is muted.
Yeah, just ignore it. Yeah, Joe will know if you need to do anything. He'll tell you.
Okay.
But you won't. We're all set. Did anything else come through the lines? Anything new that we missed in the last half hour?
No.
Any breaking news?
Well, Caroline Levitt had the press briefing about the big, beautiful bill
Mm-hmm.
and about what's in it and how advantageous it is.
Yeah.
And the markets haven't reacted to it yet. And there's some consternation about that bill between the Dems and the Libs and the Republicans because of some say it's not going to help grow the economy, but some say it will. And
Well, yeah, I think, and we'll get into that too. But the conservatives, the Republicans that did give pushback, and 4 of them are kind of still, just kind of hanging by a thread to see what kind of, amendments can be made to it. But I see their point, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's absolutely necessary. I mean, it just is. I mean, we have to make cuts where we can, but we also have to put money towards the things that are absolutely necessary.
well, yeah,
Military, order, all of those things.
well, and the big stickler is the Medicaid, Medicare, and some of those
Yeah.
Republicans are sticking. Those are sticking points for them, I guess, because of their constituents. And they have to iron that out. Conjecture is that some of these people are just basically making noise so that their constituents, will rally behind them because
Yeah.
they know that in 2 years or less than 2 years, the midterms are coming along, and everybody has to be. Well, this big bill has to pass in order for the midterms to still have an effect for the Republican.
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's there. The conjecture is that if the big beautiful bill, if it passes, it could increase growth by 3%, which will basically reduce the debt structure in 10 years by, I think, $10 trillion or something, some large sum.
Yeah. Well, immediately you're looking at a savings of 1.6 trillion.
Yeah, immediate.
So that's just right off the bat. So, I mean, who doesn't want that?
Well-
we've got to get it under control.
The Dems don't want it because they're basically a tax and spend entity.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
You
they'll just keep racking up the bill, forever, not
Yeah.
thinking about generations to come.
Don't solve the problem, throw money
That's
at
right.
it.
Like they've been doing,
Yes,
like they do with
exactly.
everything. Hence the reason that we need Doge,
Yes.
So, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Stephanie. How are you? Michelle, how's it going? Paul, there you are. Hey, Paul, how are ya? Hey, Jamie, good morning. Hope everyone is starting their Monday off well. We're about a minute before we get the show started. Get another couple drinks of my coffee here. All right, Joe. Yes, this is live, Paul. You're seeing us live. I'm ready when you are.
All right, here we go.
Hey everyone, good morning. It is Monday, May 19th, 2025. I am Megan Marie Moret. Vic Faust is off today. He had some important meetings that he had to get to. So I'm here and I brought along my guest host for the day. This is my dad, Kevin O'Connell. So he's going to be hanging with us today. We have so much to get to. As everyone has probably heard by now, Joe Biden was diagnosed with prostate cancer. We're going to talk a little bit about that, what that means for him moving forward. We're going to talk about the big, beautiful bill that did, in fact, go through last night after some big pushback from Friday and into the weekend. We're going to talk about Trump in the Middle East, man, how those people just love and adore him, and what he's doing to keep our relationships strong with those in the Middle East. The 8647, James Comey just happened to stumble upon some seashells on a beach that called for the annex of President Donald J. Trump. We're going to also be talking about the bizarre collision with the Mexican Navy ship that ran right into the Brooklyn Bridge. And most importantly, we want to just make sure that we send our thoughts and prayers out to all of those affected by the tornadoes on Friday, right here in our hometown, right in our backyard. We were all affected by it here in St. Louis, Missouri. The tornadoes that came through affected Kentucky as well. Just want to make sure that everyone knows that, we just feel horrible. I've never seen anything like that in all my years here in St. Louis at my home. And then just the city of St. Louis. I don't know that there's ever been a tornado like that has actually gone down and hit some of the oldest parts of the city and just literally just laid them out. Here's some pictures right here, just of some different camera views of the city of St. Louis, just absolutely demolished. I know a lot of people are still out of power even right now. I was out of power for almost 2 days. So I just can't imagine what these people are going through, not having power, many of them not having a home, several buildings destroyed. But luckily, right here in our town in St. Louis, there was only 5 casualties. So again, thoughts and prayers out to those who lost their lives and their family and friends. I know that if you are wanting to help right here in St. Louis or Kentucky, the Midwest, or no matter where you're listening from, Samaritan's Purse is setting up some major projects to go through and help clean this devastation up. The Red Cross also. Those are the 2 that I would recommend off the bat. So, but let's get into ex-president Joe Biden. Let's get into his prostate cancer diagnosis. The big buzz is that everybody's shocked. Everybody's just so shocked that this happened. And I'm not his doctor, and I'm not a doctor at all, but it is really surprising, not that he has this, but that it has metastasized to his bones. Because like one doctor says, and I think we have that, Joe, one doctor says that if it has already gotten to the stage where it has metastasized, likely it's been there for a while. And he says prostate cancer is the easiest cancer to diagnose when it first starts and to watch it progress to bone metastases. The PSA blood test shows the rate of cancer cell growth, for even with the most aggressive form, it is a 5 to 7 year journey without treatment before it comes metastatic. Am I saying that right? Metastasis.
Sounds right.
Yeah. It metastasizes, metastatic, whatever. Meaning it would be malpractice for this patient to show up and be the first diagnosed with metastatic disease in May 2025. It is highly likely he was carrying a diagnosis of prostate cancer throughout his White House tenure, and the American people were uninformed. So again, this is one of the easiest cancers to treat, and that the fact that it has gotten this far is really, it's really puzzling. I mean, don't you agree, Dad? And this is my dad, Kevin O'Connell, AKA Dad, Poppy, Captain, Slimmy.
I got a lot of names.
Yeah, he goes by all of it. And I brought my dad along today because we talk politics all the time. Yesterday we were together going to and from soccer games for my kids, and we talk about it all the time. We both love it. We're passionate about it. So
we talk about kids and politics.
That's right.
That's the majority of our conversations.
That's right. So Dad, what do you think about this whole Joe Biden cancer diagnosis?
I don't want to be a conspiracist in this situation, but Trump, the news last week was about Trump and his successes in the Middle East, and everybody was high on that. Then toward the end of the week, then the her Biden audio became exposed, and everybody was talking about that, and it showed just how out of touch Biden was, even back in 23 when the her Biden discussions were going on, the interview was going on. And it seems to me it's kind of funny now that um, the news was just released about his prostate cancer, which basically brings Biden back into the news, but in a different viewpoint. Basically, now we are feeling sorry for him because prostate cancer is not a nice thing, even though it can be treated. But it tells me about the dishonesty that occurred within the White House. You know, not only for 3 or 4 years, but basically just recently. They want to put Biden back in the news in a good light. That's my thought.
Hmm.
And I just see this difference, you know, that they want to put him back in the light and they want to put Trump back on the back shelf again. So I feel sorry for Biden. In for an 80-year-old man, prostate cancer, prostate issues are somewhat commonplace. Okay, for men have prostate issues. Um, how long did he have it? We don't know. But again, if he's had it for a long time, why didn't the White House expose that and tell the public about this issue? Because it is a definite health issue. And could it affect his use of the auto pen? Maybe, maybe not. But that's
Hmm.
another issue.
Yeah. Well,
So,
I agree. I think that it's definitely some deflection going on. I think with the release of Robert Hers, the Axios, the taping of Biden being interviewed about the whole documents case, that with that being released, which is absolutely, it's so sad to listen to because he clearly his mind is not there. So we've got that. There's a new book coming out that talks about all of that. It talks about everybody hiding the fact that Joe Biden's decline was on a rapid movement. Um, and so again, trying to gain sympathy, he's gonna. I'm sympathetic towards him. It's awful. Cancer is awful, no matter which way you slice it. But I think that two things can be true at once. I think that we can feel empathy for someone that is going through cancer, but at the same time, we also have to take the facts. And the facts are that there was a huge cover up with his health. If he's getting the physicals that he's supposed to be getting from, Dr. O'Connor every year, wouldn't wouldn't that have shown up in a physical? I mean, don't they do blood work? Wouldn't the PSA have shown something? It's hard to imagine that if he just had a physical, I mean, can you imagine the kind of physical that you can get as the president of the United States of America? The the highest tech, tests, probably things that we don't even know about yet that they can do. Full body, head to toe, the best of the best, and they missed a high PSA or prostate cancer. Kind of hard for me to believe, but again, I'm not a doctor.
it showed up in previous blood lab work. It showed up if you took a PSA test because
Mhm.
that's part of any physical, especially for a man of his age. They do that as a common occurrence. So they knew about it. They knew that it had to be rising.
Right. And Paul on the chat line says Jill Biden and Hunter were drunk on the wealth and power of being in the White House. They were okay with her husband being used and taken advantage of, and it is shameful. And I agree 100%. For some reason, his family wanted to keep him in the ring. Just keep on taking punches, just keep going, no matter what. I have no idea what they thought that was going to do. A big part of me thinks that they just wanted to get Joe Biden back in at any cost to his health, his reputation, his legacy, get him back in. knowing that they were going to eventually have to pull him, probably sooner than later, due to his health and his cognitive decline, and put old, Kamala word salad pants in the hot seat, and then we'd be SOL. It'd be a complete catastrophe, a complete nightmare. So, again, who knows why they kept pushing this man? But did you which one did you have pulled up? The Joe Biden?
Had the audio.
Yeah. So I'm sure many of you have heard the audio from Joe Biden being interviewed by her, but here's a little piece of it so that you guys can just hear some of his confusion. Some of it is actually even kind of hard to understand because he's mumbling. So really try to turn your volume up and tune in and just listen to some of this confusion here.
So during this time when you were living in Chambers Road and there were documents relating to the Penn Biden Center or the Biden or the cancer for your shot or your book, where did you keep papers that related to those things that you were actively working on?
This is what, 2017, 18, that area?
Yes, sir.
Remember, in this time frame, my son is either been deployed or is dying. 1 month ago died. Got May 30th, 2018. 2015 he died. May 2015.
Yeah. So we can cut there. As you can hear there, he's trying to basically give some excuses for his slip-ups, his behavior in 2018. He kind of even is confused about that. But he's wanting to say that he did that because it was a really tough time for him because his son, Bo, was ill and he was dying and then died during that time. But in fact, he had died several years before that. And it's so sad to hear this. It truly, truly is. Like Paul says, it's elder abuse. And it is. And, a lot of this is part of life. I mean, our mind starts to go as we get older. And in many cases, when you have another illness on top of it, it goes even faster than it should. So, taking all of that into consideration, he should not have been making major decisions for our country. This was a man that had access to do anything he wanted. He could go and he had access to that button. He could do what he wanted as far as, our world affairs, our foreign affairs. And he definitely should not have been heading into another 4-year race. This is proof right here. So with this being released, and again, the book that's soon to be, out about talking about all of the cover-ups, all of the things that involved his son, Hunter, this is really, it's actually a brilliant way to deflect and to cause everyone to look towards him, be sympathetic towards him, feel sorry for the guy, and then we go back to Orange Man bad.
Yep,
where
exactly.
we go back to, Donald J. Trump, the felon, the rapist, the Nazi, the fascist, the transphobe, you name it. It's every word derogatory that the Dems can come up with. We're going to go right back to that.
The guy who's bringing peace to the Mideast
Mhm.
after all these efforts.
Yeah.
That the previous administration could not even perform.
Yeah.
And so why is Orange Man bad when he's bringing all this business back to the United States, when he's basically increasing the business within the United States and helping the United States in terms of manufacturing and employment?
Right. Which brings us right into Trump being in the Middle East, last week, and just, the relationships that this man has with the Middle East is unlike any other previous president. I mean, they really, really do like and respect him. You can tell, just by the way in which they show honor to him. So Trump was in Saudi Arabia, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, and even met with the Syrian president last week. Over there, trying to talk about how to move forward and not let the radical Muslim terrorist take over and have precedent over the relationships that we need and should have in the Middle East. We absolutely have to have a friendly relationship with these people. You've got these maniacs over there. You've got the Houthis. You've got Hezbollah. You've got Hamas. You've got all of these terrorist organizations that are organic to this area. We need these people on our side. We need them helping us keep those people from causing the terror that they do worldwide. But yeah, I just thought it was really great, just to watch Donald Trump and all of the leaders of these countries over there. I mean, and he is just so funny. I don't know if you guys heard, but when he said, "I haven't seen camels like this in a long time," like he sees camels on a regular basis. But I thought that was so cool, and just to see all of those camels come in, and they're just all of these men in these their white robes come in, and on the camels, just to show honor to him, I thought was really, really cool. But I think that there's a huge significance too about Trump meeting with the Syrian president. And a lot of talk occurred, talking about Iran and Iran's capabilities and what Iran can do if we don't keep tight reins.
If they get nuclear, we don't know what they'll do with it.
That's right.
And the thing that Trump showed all of the Arabian people, the Saudis, Abu Dhabi, the UAE, he showed them respect, a high degree of respect. He didn't go in and say, "You got to be like us." He basically showed them the ultimate amount of respect, and that currency in itself goes a long way, especially with the Middle East nationality. So
Yeah.
he brings respect. The previous administration did not do that, and that's why they really like Trump, because he tells it like it is, but he does it not in a demeaning manner. It's not the ugly American.
Right. Yeah, and he can go in and actually have a genuine, type of relationship with these men. He goes in and he's just because these are leaders of major countries does not mean that they don't know how to have fun. They're all human. They've got families. They're all trying to do exactly what Trump's doing, lead their countries. And it's just nice to see them come in and have that human interaction. That they're bantering, they're going back and forth, they're having fun, and that's nice to see. And I also loved that President Trump, he really sidestepped a lot of the Israel talk, what's happening, with Israel and Gaza. He kind of sidestepped that. I think that he is really trying to let Israel be Israel, do Israel's thing, make decisions. Are we an ally of them? Absolutely. But I think that he maybe is a little bit tired of being big brother, having to oversee and answer for everything that Israel does. So he kind of went around that whole situation. However, he did make it known on a world stage that he feels for the people of Palestine. He understands that there are people there literally starving to death. And so, I appreciate the fact that that he is making sure that people know that he sees them and he sees what's going on, and he wants them to get the necessary aid that they need, because there are innocent people there. And again, I don't think that you're going to hear that talking point a lot on mainstream media, because that takes the narrative away from, the genocide that we're responsible for. Because remember, America is responsible for the genocide going on in Gaza. And so I think that that if mainstream media was doing their job, they would make sure that they told the American people what he's doing, and he's making sure that those borders get open so that they can get the necessary aid in
Mainstream
there.
media does not want to show Trump as a humanitarian.
No,
They want
the
to show
exact
him
opposite.
as this fascist, irresponsible individual. And
That's
he's basically Well, he's extremely smart, and he knows that if he shows this humanitarian side, again, it's a currency that's going to go a long,
Mhm.
long way um, towards peace, and that's what we need in the Middle East is peace.
We do. Peace through strength. And that is what is on his banners everywhere over there in the Middle East when he's having these talks. Peace through strength. We need a president like that. He doesn't talk about war. He doesn't talk about war and peace or peace and war or, strength through war. No. Peace through strength.
Strength.
And that rocks a lot of Democrats' boats a little bit because they don't want to see it handled in this way. They want to shake everything up. They want to cause as much turmoil as possible for President Trump during his 4 years. And that's not what's going to happen. And Todd, yes, I agree with you 100%. Todd says, I'm glad he's over there, but we cannot forget they were a big part of 9/11. And yes, there are so many people that are responsible for 9/11. And not just 9/11, but all of the other terrorist attacks that have happened worldwide. A lot of these radical, terrorist groups are, homegrown right out of the Middle East. And that is also why it is so important for us to maintain a secure border. Because for the last 4 years, we have allowed many of these people that would love nothing more than to see another 9/11 happen to not only us, but many other countries as well. We've been literally holding the door open for them and saying, welcome, come on in, and doing God knows what. I have a feeling that if any of us knew what was really going on right in our own backyards, as far as, the terrorists go. I mean, yeah, MS-13, Tren de Aragua, those are all awful too. But I'm talking, these Middle Eastern radical Muslim groups. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? And I couldn't be happier that we are having the kind of secure border that we have right now. And hopefully moving forward, we can find these people and remove them from our country. Along with, you guys know, I, want nothing more than to, find and put away all the people that traffic, the vulnerable and the innocent and children, find those people as well. But yeah, it was really great to see in Dubai, the tallest building, what is it? Burj Khalifa, tallest building. They lit it up to salute President Trump in the United States to show honor. I thought that was just super cool. I cannot imagine what goes into something like this to light up a building like that. But man, that's
And
sweet.
they're burning the flag in the United States, but
Mhm.
they're epitomizing the
Mhm.
flag in Abu Dhabi. So,
Yeah.
and that's because of Trump.
Great point. Great point, Dad. They are. Here we have our own people here that are so confused about themselves, about life, that would rather watch a flag burn and not really understanding truly how lucky we are to live in a country like we do. I mean, I would love to see all of these people that are so hateful, whether they're born here in the United States or have come here and they're here on a visa or whatever the situation is, to go and visit some of these other countries that they think are just so great and, come back and check in with us. And I have a feeling that their thoughts and ideas will be a lot different. That's for sure. Hey, Greg, I saw your comment just a little bit ago and about you think that maybe I was hell on wheels as a child. What do you think, Dad?
An understatement.
It's an understatement. Man. Tell him
But in a good way.
Tell him I was perfect. I as many of you know, I'm in between two brothers. And so
She's the princess.
yes, I was the princess. And so I have a very girly girl mom. Hi, Mom, if you're listening. and then I have a very guy dad. My dad, he's a Vietnam helicopter pilot. He loves to hunt. He was a professional, semi-professional soccer player. Hunts, fishes, does all these things, and so I was being toted around by my dad and my brothers on weekends. We used to go to Grandpa Pigeons. Remember, Dad?
Oh yeah,
You'd have to
definitely.
get stuff for the turkey shoots and
Yep.
for fishing, and I can still remember the smell of that place. And then, but
Yeah, I can too.
and I loved sports. I played a ton of sports, and but like I said, I had the girly girl mom, and she was always into fashion and decorating and stuff. So I would show up to my games with like whatever uniform I was supposed to wear, with like a bow that was like twice the size of my head, probably hot pink. I refused. Yeah, do you remember when I refused to wear those ugly softball cleats? And so I wore the hot pink
Oh yeah, definitely.
Converse, and my brothers would just die. They would just be so embarrassed. They would be like, "Oh my gosh, here she is." But yeah, that's how I was. But yeah, lots of sports, lots of fun, lots of mischievous endeavors, especially with my younger brother. We're a year apart.
You guys were kids.
Yeah. Yeah, we were.
You were
And we
doing what
did
kids do.
exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And that was your job at the time,
Mhm.
and you succeeded.
Yeah, we
You
did.
became a professional.
Mom was just talking about us, how we used to race our big wheels and our green machines down the steep driveway and into the street, and how she would just stand up at the top, and go like, cover her eyes and stuff. I said, "Yep, that was it." You know, I me and my brothers had a few bruises, scratches. So,
Again,
but yeah, it was fun. It was a good time growing up, that's for sure. Oh, Tanya, thank you. Tanya says, "Thank you for serving." Her dad is an Army veteran as well. Yeah,
welcome
thank you.
home. Tell them to welcome home. That's what I
Yeah.
say to the Viet vets.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my God. Todd says that News 4 was doing a tornado piece, and if someone was in the background screaming "Free Palestine." I mean, this is who we're dealing with. This is the kind of just not well people that we are dealing with in our world right now. Their priorities are so screwed up. My dad and I were talking yesterday when we were in the car driving, and we just wonder, like, who is sending out the memo every morning to the liberals and saying, "Okay, here's your words for the day. We're going to use oligarch. We're going to use Nazi. We're going to use
Fascism.
Palestine. Yeah, Palestine genocide, fascism. Here's the words. So here's your memo. Make sure you use these words. We don't care if you know what they mean or not. Just make sure that you use them 10 times a day, and just say it over and over and over." That is who we're dealing with, and it's so embarrassing to watch this. Like you said, here's a tornado going on, and we've got people talking about Free Palestine. I mean,
Do they even know what Free Palestine means?
no, they
I
have
mean,
no idea.
The truth of it, and why Palestine, should they be free? Israel gave them the opportunity to govern themselves, but obviously they oriented themselves toward Hamas, or Hamas basically took things over. But they determined their own destiny. It wasn't somebody influencing them. They determined their own destiny.
Right, but it wasn't good enough.
No.
They want it all in their terms. They don't know how to come to the table and make a deal. That is why we are still going through. We're supposed to have all of the hostages out by now. We don't. We have the ceasefires. There's supposed to be these negotiations. And as I have said before several times, you cannot sit down and negotiate with animals. It's almost near impossible. So when all of the hostages will be out, when there can be a decision made on how Gaza is going to be governed moving forward, I honestly, I just can't see it happening. I just don't think that that Hamas is capable of.
What did Hamas do on what was it, October 7th?
Mhm.
What did they do? They committed an act of genocide against against people that were not armed, against innocent people, children. I mean, it was just apparently grotesque what they did. But
Right.
they don't recognize that. And all they want to say is from the river to the sea, and yet they don't even know what river, or most of them don't even know what sea they're talking about,
Exactly.
or why, what's in between those areas.
Mhm.
But that's a rallying call.
Mm.
Again, somebody said, "Hey, use this rallying call." And again, they pick up this mantra, having no idea what it's about. And that's, to me, that's stupidity because they basically aren't thinking things through.
Well, no, they aren't. But also when you are indoctrinated and when your foundation, the Quran, you know, when your foundation is based on principles of you are the elite. You are the only people that have a say in matters. When everyone else, is infidels, they need to be, taken off the face of the earth. When that is your foundation, how can you have any kind of compassion or empathy or even have it in your brain power to even think like a human, to have any humanity in you? It's almost impossible. Now, mind you, there are some Muslims that are lovely people. I often wonder if they've ever truly read what their religion and culture is founded upon, because it's really hard when you put, the Quran, the Torah, and the Bible all side by side. You've got something that really, it's a, instruction book for how to hate. And even just ideas, the ideologies of what's going to happen to you if you, kill people and kill yourself. There's nothing in there about, if you do these things, it is wrong. It is, no, you are right. I'm going to give you, 7 brides and, a fruit basket and, wine when you arrive, or whatever the heck they think that they're going to get when they cause these, awful, crimes.
Through
Um,
indoctrination.
yeah, it is. It truly is. So it's hard to even think how we are going to move forward. And that is why it is so important for us to keep our relationships with other countries that are in the Middle East. We have to keep them strong. And we have to watch them, because like a point was made earlier, we might not necessarily be able to trust everybody. And no, I mean, and as a leader, I'm sorry, you trust no one. Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Trust no one, and make sure though that you're let them know, like, I'm watching you, and make sure that we don't have another 9/11 or any of those other horrific incidences. Um Again, talking about, Trump and his movements and trying to make things happen. Overnight, his big beautiful bill finally got some traction, went through after there was a stronghold coming from the conservatives actually on Friday, and not allowing this legislation to go through. And we talked about this yesterday as well, Dad. Just trying to figure out, um, you know, what the Democrats want from this and what the Republicans want from this. And I really tried to go into both sides, and I actually do see some good points coming from the left. But again, I think it's emotion that is determining, how they're seeing this bill, rather than really looking to see what's going to happen and happen moving forward and in for the generations to come. They're really big into, everything in the fiscal aspect of everything, making sure that we have money for infrastructure, making sure that that Medicaid is where it should be. Now, here's my big issue that I have, and I'm just gonna use Medicaid because that's always what I tend to go back to, especially when we're talking about the big beautiful bill. A lot of people on the left are screaming that they're taking Medicaid away. And in what I do as well, with helping trafficking victims, helping children that don't have parents, whether it's the foster care system or wards of the state or whatever it is, Medicaid comes into play a lot. And I've just heard so many people say that, Medicaid's going to be taken away. You're not going to be able to, get any IEPs or, help for the children because of the education budget has been slashed. None of that has happened. For me, I'm going to speak for myself. In fact, I have gotten more than I needed for my kids. But the whole Medicaid issue, here's where I have a problem. So what we need to do, and I agree with this, is we need to make sure that the people that are receiving Medicaid, those of age, so adults, let's say with no children, that have no disabilities whatsoever, we need to put some sort of requirement on these people, okay? Because unfortunately, we cannot give Medicaid to everybody just as a handout when you're not supporting children, you are mentally and physically able people. I don't think that we need to be handing out the Medicaid for that. I also don't think that we need to be handing out Medicaid to 1.4 million illegal aliens in our country. Here's another point that really gets me is, and you guys can look, you can look it up, you can Google it, do your own research. But one of the many benefits that illegals get in our country is if you are pregnant, okay, and you are from another country, you have no status here at all, we will give you Medicaid. Do you know what your proof of eligibility has to be? To be pregnant. So whether that means a pregnancy test or visibly pregnant, you can receive Medicaid so that you can get your prenatal care, so that you can deliver, a happy, healthy baby, hopefully in most cases. Now, an American citizen that, needs Medicaid for their pregnancy, you want to show what their proof of eligibility has to be? Income and other, a few other things that they have to check off the list. So so it's based on your income. So you can't just show up with nothing. You can't just show up and say, I need help. You have to, so if you're making too much money or, which is probably, not much anyway, it rubs me the wrong way that here American citizens have to, go through this line and show proof of eligibility to receive something that someone from another country. So no wonder it is so enticing for people to come to this country. And it is. I mean, we're America. I mean, home of the beautiful and the brave, and I truly believe it is the best country in the world. It just does not seem fair at all. And so with that being said, there needs to be, a breakdown of what is happening within our systems. It is absolutely necessary. We cannot sustain a country handing things out like this. We just cannot do it. So I know I'm going on a rant. What do you think about that, Dad?
The Democrats basically believe that instead of solving a problem, it's a lot easier to throw money at it. And one of the ways to try to get votes or get votes for them is to basically help these people in the hopes that basically they will vote. And now all you have to do to vote for these people is get a driver's license. And many of the states now give driver's licenses to these immigrants, even though they are not citizens of the United States. And to me, that's dishonest. And I think the whole realm of the Democratic mantra is dishonesty for everything that they do, because they lie to us and they allow programs like this to occur. And why? Because basically they get something out of it. They get votes, or they get to spend money, which is basically what the Democrats
that's what
like
they love
to
do.
Tax and spend, And the big beautiful bill, what's wrong with the big beautiful bill? It's an endeavor to try to help the United States population, not hurt us.
Yeah.
Okay. And Why do they hate it? They hate it because they aren't doing it and because it makes sense.
Hmm.
Okay. And again, conservatives tend to think in a commonsensical way. Okay. And they don't like that because common sense makes you think about things. And again, if you want to make a decision, okay, you compare stuff and it's based upon common sense. And now I'm going off on a tangent, but basically, I think that um, we have to really look at these programs and we have to promote them from a commonsensical perspective.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. Many of you here on the chat line are saying, Robert says that Democrats believe in feelings. Danielle says slaves to the system. And, Robert, you also bring up a great point. The big issue in this country, besides the definition of a woman, is the definition of what is of age. And that is so true. So many different times we hear, people, what is age, and how age is really, you know, um, for some people it's everything, and for other people it means absolutely nothing. And that's something too that I think that we're going to see more of in the years to come is different, whether it's are you eligible for something, the whole voting, but you can do all of these things at certain ages, yet you don't have to be a certain age to do others. It makes absolutely
no sense whatsoever.
no at all. And it's true. When you just get down to the basics, just common sense, just rational thinking, simple logic, it's just too much for people. They just, for whatever reason, they need to have all of the extra feelings, all of the extra drama. And that is what's going to keep you from making normal decisions. And I would say that probably most people that think and act like that, they probably struggle in all areas of their life with their decision making. And,
It's intellectual dishonesty.
yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
And, if you make a decision based upon emotion, there's a chance that it's not going to be the right decision. But if you investigate and compare, okay, again, that's common sense.
Mhm.
And that's what I think that's what a lot of conservatives do is they use common sense more than the emotion.
Mhm.
And to me, it just doesn't play well with me when I
Mm-mm.
hear somebody talking about, well, that's the way it should be. No,
Yeah.
no, that's not a good answer.
Mm-mm. Agreed. And talking about common sense, we can move right into James Comey. And this whole 8647, the seashell exhibit that he just happened to stumble upon while he was on a beach walk. Okay. So talk about lack of common sense. This guy, obviously he lacks common sense, because common sense would tell you that we all know that what 8647 means, and we all know why you posted that. We all know why you wanted to make sure that that everyone saw it and you put it on your social media. But the lack of common sense, I don't believe that he is stupid. I think he knows exactly what he was doing. Just so happens that he has a new book coming out, and he hasn't been relevant. Nobody's talking about him. So why not shake things up a little bit? Why not even to the detriment of literally the life of the leader of our country? This guy knows. I mean, he was a former FBI director.
He said he didn't know what 86 meant.
Give me a break. I mean, how pathetic and embarrassing is it that you are going to literally, well, you look stupid, first of all, but then to act like we're just as stupid to literally, I mean, not everybody. Most people know what 86 means. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, I knew what it was. You're young, you work in a restaurant. If you ever worked in a restaurant in any way, shape, or form, you know what 86 means. Either it's gone or it's going to be gone. Okay. So cut it. So for him to say, oh, I just thought it was a really interesting piece of artwork on the beach is just absolutely the most stupid thing I've ever heard. But again, him being a former FBI director, him knowing the consequences of people's actions when you go and you try and you incite something, especially you're talking about many, many mentally ill people that we have in this country, 2 of whom tried to kill our president. Okay, so you know what little things like that are going to do for people. When I look at it, I just say, you know what, you're sick. And I scroll on. Other people, they're going to look at that. They see that as a call to them in their squirrely brain of theirs, a call to action. So for him to do that was irresponsible on so many levels. Will he be held accountable for it? I doubt it. I mean, I really do. I mean, not many people that are anti-Trump get held accountable
He's
for any
part
of
of
their
the
actions.
Washington, D.C. elite. So
Yeah.
they'll protect their own, and it'll be tough to indict him and tough to punish him. So he'll get away with it.
Yeah. And a lot of people really, really do think that, like Joe just put the FAFO up, for James Comey, FAFO. I don't know. I really don't. I don't really have any faith in our legal system at all when it comes to going after the left. I just, if anybody can prove me wrong.
Double system of justice.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. So anyway, I just think that I'm just so I have secondhand embarrassment for this guy. So bad for him to say that he didn't know what it meant. I mean, just stop with the nonsense already. And that goes for all of the crazy people that, have all the nutty things to say on the left as well. And just take a break. Just give it a rest, get some new material and come back with it.
People saying nutty stuff on the left. I was watching TV, and this young lady who was from Charlie Kirk's Turning Point, she was interviewing some people outside Delaney Hall in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And she was saying, what do you think about the people inside this prison or this jail that are convicted rapist, child rapist, the dregs of society? And again, I don't want to color the interview too much, but the young lady that she was interviewing had she had blue hair. Okay.
Sure.
She made a statement that said, basically, all these people in there, even though they're child rapists and predators and killers, they all deserve dignity. And I found that abhorrent.
Where's the dignity for their victims?
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
The victims. Yeah.
Well, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because this is my head scratch right now. I absolutely cannot understand, and I think we have pictures of all of these faith leaders that are showing up outside this ICE facility. Okay, so let's just break it down back to basics for all of the people, these morons that are showing up in front of this ICE facility, for the Congress people that are supposedly doing oversight, for all of these people. Let's go back down to A, B, and C. There are rapists, murderers, pedophiles, child molesters, gangbangers, terrorists, you name it, behind those walls. Those are people that are horrible people, and in addition to that, have no right or reason to be in our country. Now, I'm used to people showing up, protesting anything and everything. So I'm sure that there's protesters. There's these nutty left Congress people that show up for really ridiculous protests as well. But for all of these people that are showing up dressed as people of faith, so they're all showing up and they all have their priest garb on or their pastoral, uniforms on, all showing up. I'm having a really hard time believing that these people that are showing up are true people of faith. Because where are these people? Where are these people of faith when it comes to, trying to protect our women, our children, our unborn, the people that have been victimized by these horrible people? Where are they then? Where are they for the innocent? Where are they for the vulnerable? Why are they showing up for the people that are causing the harm? Can someone help me understand this? Because I just can't. I mean, these ding dongs showing up. I mean, I wouldn't listen to one thing, especially spiritual, coming from these people. They have absolutely no credibility with me, because I again, like I said, where are these people when it comes to, protecting the trafficked, protecting, again, the unborn, protecting all of these people? Why not show up then? Why show up for this kind of crap now? It blows my mind. Again, I think it's super, super irresponsible. And if you are going around and you are if you're not a person of faith and you're dressing up like this, and it's blasphemy, it's it's just sick in so many ways. And I wish that people were not giving these people any airtime. I wish that people would just not pay any attention. And that goes also for the Congress people that are showing up and wanting to fly down to El Salvador and have, margaritas with the MS-13 people. It goes for the lack of respect and decorum that we've seen, especially last week, against, Kristi Noem in questioning against, who else? They were just badgering so many people with disrespect. And I'm glad that they all chose to hold their own, and be like Kristi Noem. She did a great job, not letting the left attack her. But the respect it's just gone. I mean, I just don't see it at all. I mean, none coming from the left. What do you guys? I mean, like Joe said, I mean, where's the where's the support for the victims? It just,
Again,
there's no
it's
outcry.
easier. It's easier to stand in front of a gate and protest rather than, like you said, address the root cause of the issue. Okay, try to solve the issue rather than just after the fact protest it. It's a photo op, is all it is. They're all hand in hand with their religious garb, and basically it solves nothing. It shows nothing. It just shows to me how stupid they are, because they're not addressing the issue.
Yeah.
They're saying that these people have dignity. Well, that's not true. They don't deserve dignity. They deserve to be behind the bars, in prison, to pay the consequences of their actions.
Well, and again, okay, so showing them dignity, okay, like if you want to say that, that everyone deserves dignity, I think their facility, in particular this one, is one of the cleanest, because it was rehabbed, it was completely redone. The food, I hear, is pretty decent. The conditions are well, and even the people on the left that have gone in there have even come out and said, yes, they are being treated well. They are fed. They've got medical treatment. They've got everything they need. That's dignity right there. Okay. Now, if these people were being held in any other country, I highly doubt that they would be living like they are living. So them living where they are right now is probably better than, many places where they came from. So the whole dignity thing, this and that, and I have a real issue sitting down with people that have hurt children, and saying, you know what, I know what you did to that kid, raped, beat, abused, sodomized, assaulted. But you know what? You deserve dignity today. I'm going to make sure that, you get, steak and potato. I want to make sure you have a soft pillow to lay on. I want to make sure that you have all the Band-Aids that you need because, the guy over here is probably beating the crap out of you because you deserve it. I want to make sure that you have all of those things. Those are not conversations that I'm willing to have with people. I'm not. So, there's a real fine line, like kind of what you said, with dignity and being dignified.
Well, like Joe said before, what about dignity for the victims?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about them?
Right.
Okay. Are they part of this equation? Apparently not, according to these people, because they just look at the perpetrators.
Mhm.
They don't look at the people's lives that they've affected, they've hurt, they've killed, you know.
Mhm.
They deserve the true dignity. They deserve the help. They deserve the recognition, that these people behind bars, what they've done to them. And to
Right.
me, that's hurtful,
Mhm.
that people like this blue-haired gal that I mentioned before, she basically shows more compassion for the people who have perpetrated the crimes than the people who have been affected by the crime.
Yeah.
Where does the true compassion, where should it go to? Where should it be directed to?
Exactly.
And to me, that's misplaced intelligence.
Right. Yeah.
Completely. We had a discussion yesterday. My wife doesn't like me to use the word stupid,
Mm-hmm.
but basically,
My mom.
I don't, I don't, I believe that some of these people are really stupid.
Yeah. Oh, I'm okay with that. But here's the most awesome part about it, thankfully so, is that you and I we don't have to deal with these people. They'll have judgment day, and God is so great and so good and so just. He is also merciful, but he is just. And so thankfully we don't have to worry about their judgment. That is the beautiful thing, is that we can just live and try to protect the vulnerable, do what's right, be good people, and they'll have their time. So that's the ultimate goal, you know.
True. How true.
So in talking about faith, the Pope, he gave his first mass over the weekend as a pope, and tens of thousands of people gathered in at St. Peter's Basilica. And, we saw JD Vance there. We saw his wife there. Who else did we see? Oh, we saw Zelensky and his wife were there. We saw Marco Rubio. Apparently there was a handshake between JD Vance and Zelensky. So, and I think the Pope is meeting with Zelensky as well. They have a meeting scheduled. I don't know if it's today or sometime this week. The Pope has made it no secret that that Ukraine is on the bad end of this war. He refers to them as the martyrs. He's calling for peace. I think that, again, when we talked about this, Vic and I talked about this, about giving this Pope a chance, and just really seeing, where his heart is, and just because he it wants us to consider climate change, and doing things, for our world, for our environment. He also just has so many, amazing thoughts and ideas about bringing peace to our country, and to the world, I should say. So, Dad, what do you think about this new Pope, Pope Leo?
Um, I think he's going to be a better Catholic than the previous one. I heard this is I listened to I watched the Babylon Bee. That's something I really like. And they made a comment. They said finally the Cardinals have elected a Catholic to be Pope, because in my opinion the previous Pope Francis was very controversial.
Right.
In my opinion, and he didn't employ Catholic values, Catholic doctrine, even gospel doctrine. And so now I believe Leo is going to be more traditional in terms of following the gospel, following the teachings of Christ.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I think he'll be better.
Yeah. I hope. I think I'm hoping that he is a pope for the gospel, for the word of God, and not for the word of people, not for what the world wants and what people in the world wants and what God wants. It's written. It's all written in the Bible. It's right there for us to see. So I really, really hope that that he does do that, that he, concerns himself with the word
Yeah, I
and
hope
not
so
the
too.
words of the people.
That's well
So
put the way you stated that.
yeah, yeah. So, so we could go on and we could, talk to y'all all day. I'll be in tomorrow again with Vic. We've got a guest coming on in the morning that you guys are going to love to hear and talk to, and you guys can ask questions as well. But, there are several advertisers, and, to be honest, Vic forgot to give me the layout, but, you know who you are. And for most of you guys, you know who our awesome advertisers are. But Dad, well, one of our advertisers, I got you and Mom on the Wendy's train. You guys,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
you guys love Wendy's now too. Yeah.
You mean this has come to an end?
Well, I
We've
know, Dad. We'll pick it up later. You know it.
this
We'll be
is
talking
this
about
has
this.
been exciting for me. This has
Yeah.
been my first.
Yeah. Your first podcast.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it was
You're a
fun.
natural.
It was fun. I don't know about that, but
Yeah.
it was fun.
Yeah. It was fun. I appreciate you coming on and hanging with me and Projo
Thank you
today.
for asking me.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, gosh, everyone, just have an awesome Monday. Like I said, I'll be
Have
back
a
in the
great
morning.
week too.
Yeah, and
Yep.
have a great week. I'll be back with Vic tomorrow. And take care of yourself, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.